Especially 13th, 14th and 15th, we have to be little careful and alert. So when we look at Dhyana Sloka of Bhagavad Gita, so there one place comes what? Sarvopanishadugava dugdha gopala nandanaha. So this Sarva Upanishad is considered, all the Upanishad is considered as the cow. And Lord Krishna starts milking it as a cowboy. So here this Upanishadic teaching is being condensed here. It is not that in other chapters are not there. Of course it is there. But here mainly these 3 chapters talks in details. So that's why one need to be careful. Why and how? Let us look at also. Especially in 13th chapter, the Purusha was being discussed in details. So that means me was being discussed in details. And who is that me? That me is unobjectifiable conscious principle. So we have discussed in details. So when we look at this, that the me, technically we saw in the last class called Kshetrajna. So that means that Purusha. So this Purusha Kshetrajna is nothing but unobjectifiable conscious principle, because of whose presence anything and everything happens. So for this we have a methodology of teaching called Drik Drishya Viveka. So that means the observer and observed methodology. So that which is on identifying conscious principle is the observer. And whatever is being observed, because we don't use the word later on experiencer, experienced, little bit conflict is there. So that's why we say Drik Drishya Viveka. Drik means observer. Drishya means that which is observed. So we come to this conclusion that whatever is being observed, is being objectified, is being experienced, is not the observer or the experiencer. So we take the help of this neti methodology of teaching. No iti, no iti. This is not that, this is not, this is not. Means whatever is being experienced, whatever is being objectified is not me. So when we look at this thing very carefully, same Drik Drishya Viveka is being, or this Atma, the topic of Atma is being continuing in this chapter, but in a different way. Because if same thing continues, you will get bored, okay? So you need something different. So imagine that time also war was going on, so Lord Krishna has to be very careful as a teacher. So he thought, okay, why to continue with this same Kshatrajna or Drik Drishya Viveka? So what he did is, he brought little bit differently. Here this is called Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga. Actually, when we talk about this Gunatraya Vibhaga Yoga, so he brings 2 things, Guna and Nirguna. You just, the later on he will use what called Gunatitaha. So Guna means Saguna. So which is being divided into 3 categories that we will see in details. So here is going to be discussed Atma, that we discussed in the previous chapter, which was called Drik, the observer, in whose presence all experience takes place, which was not a part of it. We'll be seeing in details again. So here is going to take little bit differently. Atma is revealed as gunatitah. So that means it is free from all attributes. So that means, in short, whatever has attribute is not Atma. They are Anatma. So my job is, if I see any attribute anywhere, that is not me. So that means this Atma or me as the attribute-less principle. So I need to be very carefully, because there was subject, object, kshetra, kshetragya differentiation was being done very carefully. But here we say saguna, nirguna, vibhaga. So that means attribute and attribute-less classification, differentiation. So that means what? We need to look at attributes. Also, we have to understand that I am without attributes. Because when I understand I am without attributes, then only I will be able to appreciate all the attributes. So that means here we need to see in details gunas. So with this background, let us go to the verse straight away so that it becomes easier. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Param Bhuyah Pravakshami Jnananam Jnanamuttamam Yes Gyatva Munayah Sarve Param Siddhimito Gata. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha. Now the Lord starts continuing his teaching, unlike 13th chapter. So in 13th chapter, Arjuna asked the question. So what is Purusha? What is Prakriti? What is Kshetra? What is Kshetragyam? What is Jnanam? And what is Jnayam? So here, when Lord Krishna himself starts, voluntarily starts talking, what does it mean? Is it like, no, he didn't have anything, so he got one audience, captive audience, catch hold, okay? So don't spare till that fellow is really fed up, okay? You understand? So like, especially when you go to any elderly people house, and those who are feeling lonely. Sometimes elderly Swamijis also, those Swamijis feel lonely, not elderly, any Swamijis feel lonely also. Sometimes, they catch hold of you, talk, they don't understand where to stop, okay? How? So you think that this Lord Krishna had his own problem. Now he is catching hold of Arjuna. Even if in the war field he doesn't understand, now keeps talking and talking. Please understand, it's not like that. We need to understand very carefully. Because in our tradition, we say very carefully, this particularly, the verse itself will say also, because through Vigayam, it is very difficult to understand. The subject matter is Durvigayam, Durvigayatvat, Suksmatvatcha. This is the language we use. In fact, Adi Shankaracharya has brought this here in this commentary. So because it is difficult to understand and the subject matter is so subtle, that's why repetition is required. So without repetition, definitely things will not be understood properly. Because we understand very carefully, sometimes whenever we are exposed to a teacher, so each one picks up the teacher differently, starts imitating. Like, many people in India, those who, love Swami Vivekananda. So once in a while, because all Vivekananda photos like this, okay, you understand? Okay, you are not able to see, okay, like, look, like, and of course sometimes they put the turban, okay? So by putting turban and putting the hand like this, so they think that they are Vivekananda, okay? And of course, if you look at also in our group also, so many of our Guru Bhais, so cover the head of their head, okay? You understand? However, so each one, they pick up their style, nothing wrong in it, we are not criticizing that. But the worst part is, sometimes they pick up the style of talking. That is the point I would like to highlight here, nothing else, okay? Like Swami Chinmayananji Maharaj. So his style of talking was entirely different. So many Swamijis of Chinmaya Mission, they pick up the style of Swami Chinmayananji. Chinmayananji was great. By imitating Chinmayananji Maharaj, you cannot become Chinmayananda, okay? I'm sorry to say. Or imitating Swami Dayananda Saraswati, one cannot become Swami Dayananda Saraswati. So each one has to be really different. Like, very nicely we say, a lot of jokes we have regarding this, See, Swami Chinmayananji Maharaj used to, cut jokes. So after cutting jokes, so he will, when people laugh, so mind is open. So when mind is open, so he will communicate few things. So that was his style, unique style. So now, same thing also with Swami, I have seen also. Swami, what he will do? He will start cutting a joke. While cutting a joke, he will say, think. In a joke, what to think? When there is a joke, is there anything to think? A joke is to laugh. Swami Chinmayananji Maharaj you caught the joke so that your mind is open. So then after joke, the right message you should get in. But the other Swami will cut a joke and will say, think, understand. Hey, what is to understand in a joke? And will say, oh, if you don't understand, you don't understand anything. So that means the fellow, neither this category nor that category, because he thinks he belongs to Jain category. Then be a Jain Swami, not ordinary this cultural Swami. What I am highlighting here is, Lord Krishna does not come under that category, does not imitate in that way at all. So he has his very clear purpose. So what he wants to highlight here is that this repetition not being dosha, not being a defect. In fact, we called that this is something important, something necessary. And even though, as you know, especially in South India, it's a very nice point to understand, those who are exposed to South Indian culture. So morning, 4 o'clock, the moment they get up, okay, after taking bath or whatever, first, which sometimes irritates, okay, very irritating, the whistle sound comes. So the rice, they will put it, okay, full rice. So with the whistle sound, everybody will get up, okay? So rice is made. So once one rice is made, same rice, what they will do? Tenga sadam, sadam. So all rice, okay, means coconut rice, lemon rice, tamarind rice. You cannot think of how many number of rice, okay? That is confused rice, means put everything together, okay? Little bit is there. So, and people love it, especially they carry it to the office. Some 2-3 varieties of rice, okay? So they will show up. Very nice, very comfortable, very good, okay? Please don't talk this thing to your wives, okay? Those who are doing this thing, okay? So Amiji was talking like this, but not like that. But after all, it is very interesting. So also now Lord Krishna uses the same method, okay? All the time eating rice, eating Atma, talking about Atma does not look nice, this Kshetrajna. Now let me take this point called Guna or Saguna and Nirguna Vibhaga. So while talking, also he uses this word. Now let us go to the, very careful the verse. He says, look, Paraha Bhuya Pravakshami Jnanam Jnanam Uttamam. So, paramam uttamam jnanam. So, it is greatest knowledge. Now, when you look at this word, because each word we have to be very careful here, paramam means what? Greatest. Uttamam also greatest. So don't you think that it is a repetition, that too unnecessary repetition? The knowledge that is greatest one time is enough. But why does he uses two times? Paramam, that too Uttamam. So here we need to understand very carefully. In fact, for this Adi Shankaracharya comes forward to help us. So why he uses this? So we say very carefully, the first, that Paramam, the greatest, is being addressed to the subject matter. So when the subject matter, that is not perishable, because it is not ordinary thing. We are not talking about ordinary at all. So it is talking about the greatest reality called Paramarthika Satyam, not Vyavaharika Satyam. So that means because it is subject-wise great, that's why it is called Uttamam. So the subject-wise it is great, that's why it is called Uttamam. So you can take first great, Uttamam. So what about Param? So we can look at Param is the result of this knowledge. So when the subject matter is about Atman or Brahman, me as Atma, that means what? Definitely this is something interesting about talking about Paramam. Now, Visaya Drushtya, it is definitely greatest. Now, second one is result, Phala Drushtya, also Uttamam. So what is the result? Result here is called Moksha. So when it talks about moksha, also we need to understand very carefully. The vidya being excellent, the subject matter being excellent, gives also this result called moksha. So if you will look at moksha, that's what is being highlighted, that yas gyatva munayah sarve param siddhim. So yes, Gyatva. So by knowing which. So who are they? Sarve Munayah. So generally Munayah we do translate differently, different places. Sometimes we say seekers. So all the seekers. So in short, sannyasis, or you can say in short that chatur what? Sadhana chatushtaya sampanna adhikarinam ityartha. So those who are qualified with sadhana chatushtayam, means those who have necessary qualifications in abundance, not ordinarily small amount, okay? So this, what is that? They are called Viveka, Vairagya, Shama, Dama, Adi, Satka Sampatti and Mumukshutam. So that means in short, Sarve Munayah, all those prepared seekers. So what do they get? Param Siddhim Itaha. So they attain Param Siddhim, which is nothing called Moksha. And that too they get here in this life, Itaha, not hereafter. So that means when they get here, it is being talked about Jivan Mukti. So the first thing is being talked, that the result of this great knowledge, it gives very carefully that liberation. So also we look itaha, maranantaram also, what happens, we will be seeing in this later on, that also there is videha mukti. So the person both gains jivan mukti and videha mukti. So now question may arise, what do you mean by this jivan mukti and videha mukti? So will you please explain these two words? So to that, let us look at this next verse so that it becomes easier. Edam jnanam upasritya mama sadharmyam agata सर्गेऽपि नोपजायन्ते
सर्गेऽपि नोपजायन्ते
प्रलये न व्यथन्ति च.
प्रलये न व्यथन्ति च.
Says beautifully. Now upasritya. So resorting to this, what is that? Idam jnanam, this knowledge. Agataha sadharmyam mama. So they have attained sadharmyam. So that means mama dharmam ityartha. The same nature as mine. Means they become Ishwaraha ityartha. Now upajayante. They are not born. Api sarge. Even during creation. Na vyathanti pralaye. Nor they do suffer during dissolution, during pralaya. So do you understand anything from this verse? So where is Jivan Mukti? Where is Videha Mukti? Okay? So this is called, you need to understand. Okay? But here, very nicely, is being taught. Here is a look. Idam jnanam upasritya. Mama sadharmyam agata. So this is very clearly highlights that Jivan Mukti. So what does it mean? You can see mama jnanam upasritaha. So by taking resource to this knowledge. Sorry, idam jnanam, not mama jnanam. Idam jnanam upasritya. By taking resource to this knowledge, what happens? Or you can say by acquiring this knowledge, committed to this knowledge. So what happens? He says, mama sadharmyam agata. So the seekers have attended, or they are one with me. So that means there is oneness. So once there is oneness, what this does it mean? So there is no jivatma bhava. So what is jivatma bhava? There is no sense of insecurity. So the person is Ishwaraha. So now question may come. What do you mean this Ishwara Swarupa? So what is the nature of Ishwaraha? We need to really understand. This is how. So Ishwaraha we know is Purnam, Purnatvam. Whereas when I look at myself, I am always Apurnam. So when Ishwara is fullness, completeness, I am always competing because I am not a complete person. And second feature of Ishwara is Abhaya Swarupaha. So when you say Abhaya Swarupaha, free from sense of insecurities. So when Ishwaraha is free from all sort of insecurities, so what is Jivatma Bhava? As a Jiva, as an individual, I am only full of insecurities. In fact, everywhere only I project insecurity. So here, if this is the case, so that means what? And because of insecurity, so Ishwara is Swami. In South India especially we say Swami. So what is Swami? Swami means master. So Ishwara is master. So master means what? We have to see very carefully. So we say very nicely, the master of what? So master of karma, master of circumstances, master of mind. Whereas what is Jiva? Jiva is a Bhrutya, is a Dasa. That's why in Dvaita philosophy,